Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the August 2nd, 2016 Chino City Council meeting. Please rise and join me in the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a seat. Under ceremonials, the 33rd Annual National Night Out, which is tonight, August 2nd. I'd like to call up our Chief of Police, Karen Comstock. Give us a little info, and I got a little proclamation for you. Okay. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch and Target are sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 2nd, 2016, entitled National Night Out. And whereas the 33rd Annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Chino to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of Chino be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drug, and violence in Chino. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes for the National Night Out program. And therefore, I, Dennis Yates, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby call upon the citizens of Chino to join the Chino Police Department, the National Association of Town Watch, and Target in supporting the 33rd Annual National Night Out this evening. So they've already started before the council meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Yates, and members of the City Council, and to the Chino community. I'd also like to thank Target, who is our corporate sponsor tonight in our National Night Out festivities. And you're correct, Mayor, we started today about 4 o'clock. We briefed along with several members of our members of our police department. Our police officers tonight are visiting about 19 locations throughout the City of Chino. And what happens is our residents register with us, and this is an awareness event. Because of the way that we live today, we live a lot differently than we have in the past. A lot of people don't have reasons to get together with their neighbors and barbecue or get to know each other. And one of the ways we talk about the Chino Police Department is the best way to prevent crime in your neighborhood is to know who belongs in your neighborhood, at what time, and where. So getting to know your neighbors is an essential component of that and helping us prevent crime. Another thing I'd like to touch upon tonight is also because of how we live in social media, which is a fantastic thing. But please remember that posting something on social media or sending an email to your local police department or perhaps even your fire department isn't always the best way to get a hold of us. I'm proud to explain to you that one of the quickest ways to get a police officer into your neighborhood if you see something suspicious is to actually call into dispatch. If it's an emergency, dial 911, but if not, just use our business line, which is 909-628-1234. It's a real easy number to remember. Our officers don't mind getting those calls. We'd like to respond to suspicious activity to keep our neighborhood safe. So again, for those of you that register, we're happy to have you. If you didn't register this year and would like to join us next year, we'd love to have you. And we're also working in partnership tonight, not just with the police department, but our good partners at the fire department of joining us as well. So thank you, Mayor, for this proclamation. We appreciate it.
Well, I hope we do some good this evening. Thank you. Oh, here's a good one. Kind of sad. Recognition of retirement for 35 years service at the City of Chino. Did you make it here? 35 years is a long time. And we'd like to call up Rob and Michael Soto, our recipient of 35 years of service, and Rob Burns, our Director of Finance. And if you could have your... Is this your wife? Could you have your wife come up? She don't want to, it looks like, huh? This is what you've been waiting for 35 years. Kind of sad, isn't it? Anyway. This is the city plaque, Michael, and I'd like to read that the Chino City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Chino, wish to express their appreciation for your 35 years of dedicated service to the City of Chino and its residents. We're proud to present that to you. And we'll let your boss talk here for a minute, and then we'll hand it to you. How's that?
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council, for the opportunity to recognize Mike here in public for all of his years of service here at the city. We're sorely going to miss Mike. He's been a great asset to the city of Chino for 35 years. He just has a wealth of knowledge out in the field. It's kind of hard to believe, but there's times when we can't find the meter out in the field, and so we'll call Mike, and Mike knows where every meter is out in the field.
20,000
And so
of them.
I don't know what we're going to do from now on, but we'll just hunt and peck and we'll find him. But he's been a wealth of knowledge. He also has served for many, many years as on the household hazardous waste team. And if you see Mike at night, you'll see a glow about him. And people say that's his personality, but I'm not so sure. So we're going to miss him in that area also. So Mike, we really do appreciate your service to the city of Chino. Thank you so much.
Mike would like to say a few words. Mike will
Okay.
take that from me.
Well, it's been a long time, but it was great working here. People are good here, and I will miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of friends, huh?
A lot of friends, yeah. I got to know a lot of people, a lot of changes, a lot of bosses.
Yeah.
And big, man.
Yeah, we're a
big
dime a
change.
dozen.
But thanks, it was great. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your service, and you got plans for your retirement? You mean doing something special?
My wife's gonna take a vacation and go to see her sister
Oh.
before I actually get stay home.
He's gonna spend time with his father.
Oh, your dad?
He's right
Yeah,
there.
he's right
Oh, that's your
That's
dad?
my dad, Charlie.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll take
Very
you
good.
like the
how old is your
lunches.
father?
He's 80,
82.
82.
82, my goodness, you're good
Yeah.
right on.
He worked for Pomona for
Pomona.
30,
For
31 and a half years. He was our neighbor.
Yeah, okay. Well, we appreciate all you've done for our residents, and we want to keep your health. That's the biggest important thing.
Yeah, I got 2 dogs that'll keep me healthy.
Yeah, okay. Let's give him a round of applause. Good job. That's it? Okay. Next on the agenda is public communications. This is the time and the place for the public to address the council on items that do not appear on the agenda. And due to the Brown Act, we're not able to take any action that is not on the agenda. First is, we'd like to call up Greg Arnhart of Calvary Baptist, Calvary Chapel, Chino, that's a mouthful, isn't it? 2, 3 C's. To lead us in invocation, and those that would like to participate, please rise.
First of all, on behalf of Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley, I want to thank you for allowing us to be here.
Thank
And
you.
also my pastor, thanks you also, Pastor David Rosales. Father, we just thank you for this day. And we thank you, Father, for all you've done in this city. And we ask, Father, that your hand of peace would still be on it. I pray, Lord, for all those that are in service of this city. And I ask, Lord, that you would just continue to protect them. The fire department and the police department, Lord, putting their lives out there. And even those that are doing service, we thank you for them. Father, be with the council, Lord, as they make decisions. And we thank you also for them. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, appreciate it. Have a seat, folks. I've got one written request to speak from Mia, or give me a break.
Ontiveros.
Oh, no wonder I couldn't say it. Well, welcome,
Or
you got 5 minutes for your,
Ontiveros.
you got 5 minutes for your presentation, dear. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Mia Ontiveros, and I wanted to just tell you all about something I'm super excited about. First of all, I am running for the local school board here in Chino Valley. But secondly, and more importantly, our Youth Leadership Council is having its first meeting on August the 12th at 5 p.m. And
Where at?
I'm sorry,
Where at?
in Chino Hills.
Where at?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I forgot to write down the address. But it's right around the corner from Chino High School. Anybody who wants to get the information can contact me. The mission of this Youth Leadership Council is what I'm super excited about. They are an organization that is to promote the youth strengthening local communities through servant leadership. And some of the specifics we are going to be working on with our group, developing leadership skills through encouraging them to promote United States patriotism and respecting the Constitution, building a positive culture for our youth, encouraging the protection of the lives of the unborn, emphasizing positive attitude and teamwork, promoting the development of strong work ethics and communication skills through presentations, community service, and just overall getting involved, and upholding the understanding that leaders are learners. So we're very, very excited about that. We don't have any age limits, so as young as kindergarten, if they'd like to come out and work on their leadership skills, we would love to have them. Being the mother of 8, I have a lot of experience with kids, so that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. Now, that's the only written request I have to speak. Anybody in the audience wishing to address the council on any item that does not appear on the agenda? Nobody else? Okay, we'll close public comment. Next is consent calendar. Anybody wishing to pull an item for discussion may do so now. Seeing none, entertain a motion. Moved by Councilman Howie, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ulloa. Still waiting on me. Come on. Okay. Passes 3 yes with 2 absent. Smack it. Now, item 9 under new business, water fund reserves, water rate structure analysis, and water capital improvement projects. And that report this evening is by Director of Finance, Mr. Rob Burns. Mr. Burns?
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. At the July 5th council meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Ulloa asked that we provide some information on the city's water utility enterprise fund. And so we prepared some information for you tonight. I have a few slides that I'd just like to walk through with you. And so the PowerPoint presentation is up. And so at the July 5th meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Ulloa asked that we discuss the fund balance as it is right now for the water fund, provide an update for capital improvement projects for the water fund, and the status of the development of the budget-based water rates. And so I'll just quickly touch on those with just a few slides. This first slide shows our projected ending fund balance at the end of this fiscal year. And so what you see is the green area at the bottom is where we started our fund balance at 6/30/2014. So that was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, we had a fund balance of just $3.2 million. Over the course of 3 years, the past 2 years and this current fiscal year, we're projecting that we'll add another $1.2 million to the fund balance, and that's revenues over expenditures for the total fund. Now, we've had several one-time revenues that have come in the last approximately 18 months. The first was $4.1 million transfer from the city's general fund to the water fund. That occurred in October of 2014. And then you'll see the largest part at the top in the yellow, which is $8.4 million, and that was 2 separate transactions of water sales. One of them occurred just recently. We haven't yet received the money, but we fully anticipate to do that. So basically, we have at the end of this year, we're projecting $16.9 million fund balance. That's the largest fund balance we've had for 15 years. It's really the largest fund balance we've ever had in the water fund. And so that's a good thing. However, what we need to point out is that a lot of that is from one-time revenues. So if we look at the next slide, this is our fund balances as they're projected from our rate study without the $5.1 million sale of water that we haven't yet received. And so what you see is the kind of the orangish line is our targeted fund balance. That's where we would like to be. And the blue line is our projected fund balance. And you can see that for the first 3 years, the fund balance is decreasing. And the reason it's decreasing is because our rates are not yet sufficient to cover our operating expenses and our projected capital improvement projects that we want to do. So in 2019, we finally see an uptick after a series of what are in the study is 5% rate increases. The only thing here that I would want to point out is, we are in the process of developing the budget-based rates, and this graph is probably going to change in that 2019 won't go up, because what we want to do is when we implement the budget-based rates is we want to hold the rates the same. We don't want to increase them, because we feel like that's going to commingle things, that people are already going to have a hard time understanding the budget-based rate structure as it is. If we try to fold the rate increase in that, people won't know, what is, of my rates, what's the result of a rate increase, what's the result of just the rate structure change. So this will probably, it won't start increasing until 2020. So that will change a little bit. The next slide is the same thing with the $5.1 million of water sales. And so as you look at this, each year shows that with the 5.1, we are actually over our targeted fund balance. But what I need to point out here is that, that looks good. However, that's arrived at with the one-time revenues. And kind of a financial policy that we like to adhere to is, we don't want to use one-time revenues for ongoing expenditures. That we apply that to as much as we can to our budget process citywide, and we think it's a good policy in the water fund as well. If you recall, it was about 5 years ago, we were selling water every year, and we had built that into our rate model. And then when the rains came, we had some big rains like 4 to 5 years ago. After those rains, nobody wanted to buy water any longer, and we had to do a 25% water rate increase in 1 year. So we were relying on those one-time revenues for ongoing operations, and so we want to try to stay away from that as much as we can. So that, what we generally like to use that one-time revenue for is one-time expenses, and we consider those as best we can for the water fund to be our capital improvement projects. And so for this fiscal year, 2016-17, we have $7.4 million in projects that we're completing. And so we're doing the alley water line along Central Avenue. There's, at the last council meeting, the water main replacements along Riverside and 3rd Streets was approved. In design right now is water main replacements along Philadelphia and Walnut Avenues. And so that'll be coming shortly. Then we are looking into the future, what our future capital needs are, and Public Works has come up with this list, and it's an estimate at this point. It's their best analysis of what's out there. It could change, but right now we're looking at the need to provide water treatment facilities at wells number 4 and 6, because they currently aren't operating because of water quality standards. That's a $6 million cost. There's the Benson Reservoir, which needs some analysis and possibly repair. That's a $3.5 million cost. And then there's water pipelines along Oaks and Walnut Avenues for another $2.2 million. So we have some significant capital improvement needs in the city, and so we're wanting to resolve those as we move forward. So that covers the capital improvement part. And then finally, I don't have a slide for this, but the development of the water budget-based rate structure. As you're aware, we hired a consultant to develop those rates for us. They're about 3/4 of the way complete with their first draft. I haven't yet looked at it. The last part that we need to, the information we need to get is for the landscape area data. And that landscape area is mostly from our commercial centers. A lot of the commercial centers are made up of multiple parcels of properties. One commercial center can be 5, 6, 7 different parcels. We have the landscape area by parcel, but there aren't always, and there's rarely, a landscape meter servicing each parcel. So we'll have 4 landscape meters servicing 6 parcels, and we don't know, without actually going out to the site, doing a site visit, actually measuring, turning on the meter, find out what areas it's watering. We don't know what meters are servicing what area. And so that's going to take some staff time to do that. We're working to bring on a staff person that will do that for us, take some GPS measurements, measure out those landscape areas, because we want to make sure we get it right, because if in a tiered rate structure, if you allocate somebody a certain amount of water and you haven't measured their area correctly, you could be charging them more or you could be charging them less than what they're really entitled to. So we want to make sure we get that right. So we're actually going to have to visit, we're guessing around 400 sites. So that could take us a couple of months to do that. So we're working on that. And when we get that information, then we'll be able to look at the first draft of the rates, kind of see what the impacts are, make some adjustments from there. Then we would be bringing it back probably to the infrastructure committee to review that, give us some further direction, and then kind of finalizing that process. So that's kind of where we are on the 3 areas that you had asked about. If you have any questions, I'm available for questions.
Eunice?
Yes, I do have some questions, and I don't know whether it would be appropriate to have more information brought back to the council or not, but I would like additional information. Whether you provide it at a public meeting or not, or just provide it to council and make it available to the public. But would you briefly explain, mostly for the public's benefit, why did we transfer $4.1 million from the general fund to the water fund?
We did the transfer of $4.1 million from the general fund to essentially reimburse the water fund for payments that the water fund had made to the general fund. Under Proposition 218, there's certain rules you'd have to adhere to, and long ago, the courts had struck down the ability to transfer what they call franchise fee and in lieu fees without a study to back that up. We had just been transferring that money annually based on a study that was probably done well before I got here. And so we were challenged on that. And so we decided to transfer that money back to the water fund to avoid any potential lawsuit. We subsequently did a study, and we found out that our transfers were relatively close for 2 of the items. One of the items we kind of eliminated altogether, but that was why we transferred it back.
Okay, so that money stays there. It's not going to get transferred back to the general fund?
Correct.
Okay. One thing that I don't see in this information is you did mention it a couple of slides ago that our revenues are greater than our expenses. We do have a lot of capital projects planned, but what I don't see is a 5 to maybe 8-year projection on the overall projects that we have in mind that have to be done, so that we can compare. We've got those 2 one-time sales of water, right? We are still not utilizing our allowed rate, correct? So our reserves are still growing, true? And will until we're at build out.
I don't think that's exactly correct. When you say that we're growing, as you saw on the one slide, our fund balance is decreasing.
No, I mean I phrased that wrong. The quantity of water that we have right now,
Oh, okay.
that's being held that we have not used.
Right.
That quantity is continuing to
Yes,
grow.
our reserves.
Our reserves are growing.
Yes.
Right, okay.
With the water master.
We no doubt will, depending on how the safe yield whole court case is determined, we probably will have water to sell in the future, but there is going to be a point in time when we will need all of our water. Depending on how growth goes, I don't know when that is, or if you can project when that is. But what I'm getting at is we have excess water. We will have opportunities to sell it. It should not fund ongoing expenses because it is one-time revenue. But that money should be used to offset the capital projects that we know are going to come up in the next 5 to 10 years, which would change the projection on how much revenue we need coming in. And that information isn't here, and I would really like to see that.
We
Yeah.
can bring that back.
Okay. The budget-based rates that we still have the 400 sites to analyze before we can finish that study. Are we including Tom Ash at all, any of this? Are we using him as a consultant? Because his services are available to us
Yes.
through that grant.
Yeah, we actually met with a representative from SAPA, and Tom Ash attended that meeting. And so we discussed this very issue of the landscape data, and Tom, because I was trying to fish for, is there a more efficient way to do this? Because it's very cumbersome and time consuming. And Tom confirmed at our meeting that really that's what most agencies do, is they hire college students and they just send them out to measure dirt and landscape area. And so we are utilizing Tom as much as we can.
Okay.
He's made himself available to us, and so we're trying to take advantage of that in areas that, you know, will help us. So,
Okay, because I know they had, through that grant, they had a GIS study that was gonna be done, that was gonna be available to everyone.
yeah, and we received the GIS study, and we have, it's kind of as I mentioned, like a shopping center will have 6 parcels, and we received all the landscape data for those 6 parcels. We just don't know which meters service those 6 parcels. So we did get a lot of good information. We used the GIS information, the aerial flyover information from SAPA to do the other 3/4 of our rate study. But this last piece, it doesn't fit as nicely as, you know, we would like.
Okay.
And so,
Now, all of our commercial development and industrial development that we're doing now are on dedicated landscape meters, correct? I hope.
I actually don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, I'd like to know that, because
okay.
if we're not in this new development doing dedicated landscape meters, we should. We absolutely should. Again, I would like to see all of that data and then compare it to the projections of revenues and expenses, ongoing revenues and expenses, because if it is possible, if it looks like what I hope it looks like in the future, I would like to freeze our 5% until we get a better handle on where we are. I don't want the public paying any more money than they absolutely have to. But if we do really need it, then I believe we need the data to prove one way or the other.
Right, and if I can just expand on that just 1 second. We do understand the rates increase substantially. I think we just want to make sure everybody understands that one of the reasons it increased so substantially was because of the water conservation requirements.
Right.
And, you know, we're selling a lot less water than we used to, but our expenses haven't gone down proportionally. We are buying less water, but we have other expenses that continue on. And so, you know, there was that factor where we increased the rates just to cover our continuing operating costs. If we had been in an environment where, you know, there wasn't water conservation going on, we were selling the water that we've been selling in the past, you know, the rates wouldn't need to be as high as they are now. But that's kind of one key component of the increase that we had to implement.
Well, you've probably seen Met's projections on what they're going to be charging. And you no doubt have seen what IEUA is going to charge for the readiness to serve chart. That scares me to death.
Yeah.
On imported water. So I would really like to see some 5 and 10 year projections.
Okay, we will do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Councilman Howie?
Yeah, Rob, Eunice, I agree with you. You know, we need to take a look at long-term projections. But how do we, you know, we have a lot of old infrastructure that's going to need to be replaced. And obviously, we don't know how quickly or what time element a lot of those things are going to, we could have some really bad years when we have to spend a lot of money just to replace a lot of piping and infrastructure. So I noticed that in the next 4 years, we're not projecting any water sales at all, you know, because we do have a lot of water in storage, even though there are attempts to steal a lot of our water at the present time. But we have a lot of water we get with our agreements. We're continuing to get more water that we don't use and put into storage. So, and we would have water to sell. So these projections are basically, you're just figuring we're not going to sell any water the next 4 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So we haven't been able to sell, well, except for the last 2 sales, which all occurred in the last 13 months. We hadn't been able to sell any water for 4 years prior. In fact, one of those years was only $95,000 of water sales. And so we don't have any projections into the future on water sales. It's just so uncertain,
Right.
Especially with the El Nino that was supposed to have occurred.
Well, yeah, we saw how El Nino
Yeah.
hit us, right?
So that that made us
But-
extra leery of putting anything in the future.
But the fact of the matter is, water is going to go up tremendously, and we have storage water. We can sell our water at whatever price we want to. I would think the market would come to us if we have water. If we want to sell water, we should be able to sell water in the future because we have water to sell.
As long as the drought continues, there will be a market.
Right.
It's in the wet years where, we won't have a market for that. So it's kind of hard just to.
So I just
depend
want
on
to
that.
make sure that it's available should we need to increase revenue there, that we
Yeah.
could sell water in the future from that standpoint. Okay, good. That's all I got.
Well, like Eunice stated, we're in litigation now with Watermaster, who wants to steal our water, not pay us for it. That could be tragic if they get their way. Plus, I'm a little hesitant to suspend a rate increase because 9 times out of 10 it comes back to haunt you when you got to go to the ratepayers and say, "Remember we said 5%? Well, that's 25 now." So it's a difficult business. That was just information and
Yeah, so just to receive and file.
yeah, receive and file. Thank you, Mr. Burns. Item 10 is authorize a purchase order, AON Risk Insurance Services West Incorporated. Our staff report this evening is by Anthony Arroyo, our Director of Human Resources and Risk Management. Anthony?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As the Mayor said, presented this evening is a report for the approval of the purchase for the city's property, liability, and workers' compensation insurance. About a year ago, staff was able to closely look at our insurance requirements. Aon, which is AON, was consulted to assist in assessing our insurance coverage. Aon is an international insurance broker who provides insurance coverage for many municipal agencies and educational institutions. It was quickly discovered that additional insurance coverage should be considered to fully protect the city's assets, employees, and customers. Tonight's item will allow for the purchase of the necessary insurance needed to fully protect this wonderful organization. Some changes that will enhance our coverage compared to prior years include fully insured city property, which now includes automobiles, and cybersecurity, which will protect our information technology structures should our system ever be compromised. The total amount for the insurance coverage is $678,300 for this fiscal year, and this was included in this year's budget. The rates provided for this additional coverage came in at about $15,000 under the last fiscal year. So to put it simply, we are now fully protected compared to prior years with some savings. Lastly, city staff has been working with Aon representatives and have scheduled a training session for city staff whose responsibilities include assuring vendors acquire the proper insurance coverage. This training is scheduled for later this month at no cost to the city. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Anthony. Prior to council questions or comments, I'll open this for public comment. Anybody in the audience wishing to address the council on this item may do so now. Got no takers? I'll close public comment. Council, I would entertain a motion. There it is. We need a mover. Mover and a shaker. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councilman Howie. Waiting on Eunice.
She got
I have Elrod's computer.
Elrod's computer.
Yeah.
It won't work. Oh, my gosh.
Will City Clerk take a vocal count, please?
Mayor Yates,
Yes.
Councilmember Howie,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Uloa.
Yes.
Passes in the majority with 2 absent. Thank you.
Does our insurance cover that?
Yeah. See if our policy covers that.
$700,000?
Yeah, they want another 100,000 to cover that. Item 11, joint city and successor agency to the redevelopment agency to approve the Edison Avenue reimbursement LS College Park LLC. Our staff report this evening by our Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Allaire. Mr. Allaire.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. In 2004, the City of Chino entered into the College Park Development Agreement with SunCal, the developer, the City of Chino Redevelopment Agency, or the RDA, and the State of California. Due to the dissolution of the RDA, the City of Chino is now considered the successor agency to the RDA. Since that time, also, SunCal has declared bankruptcy, and Lennar Standard Pacific have purchased College Park and with all the rights and interests that go along with that property. Now, the development agreement outlines the various terms and conditions associated with constructing public improvements within the surrounding College Park specific plan area. These public improvements include the ultimate widening of Edison Avenue adjacent to Ayala Park from Central to Oaks. Also, it includes a construction of master plan storm drain facilities, a recycled water main, and traffic signal modifications. City staff have reviewed and approved the design for Edison Avenue improvements, and the cost to complete these improvements is estimated to be approximately $8,431,000. Work is scheduled to commence in about 2 months once this agreement is approved, and should be completed about 18 months afterwards. Now, pursuant to the development agreement, the Edison Avenue improvements are eligible for reimbursement from the successor agency. The Edison Avenue improvements have been listed in the city's recognized obligation payment schedules, or ROPS, and have been approved by the Department of Finance as an enforceable obligation. Now, this reimbursement agreement also has been reviewed and approved by the city's successor agency, legal counsel. So with that, that concludes my report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Allaire. Prior to council questions or comments, I'll open this for public comment. Anybody in the audience wishing to address the council may, Stubby, come on down. State your name for the record, Stubby, and you got 5 minutes, my man.
Excuse me. I'm Stubby Barr. Thank you, Mayor. I just have a comment. I know part of that development agreement was to finish the improvements on College Park Avenue, which was intended to be the main entrance. As it stands right now, we have Ayala Park, and we have dirt parkways and a dirt median all the way down. And I think, it's been 12 years. I think it's time that maybe we put a little pressure on College Park to finish that.
Would that be Edison's easement he's talking about?
No,
Matt?
it's not. It's just
It's the median island on College Park Avenue that starts at Central and goes east and ends
Right.
at the traffic circle. That is within the city's right of way.
Well,
Work is scheduled to complete
is?
that landscaping area. It is gonna get done.
This year?
I don't have a timing for it yet. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
But we have talked to the developers, Lennar, and we brought to their attention that's gonna get done before anything is closed out with the College Park development.
Hold on to them occupancy permits. That does it every time.
Yeah, I think it should be pushed. I think it's long overdue. I'll have to look back, but it
Well,
is.
you know, Stubby, it takes
I know.
money, and you have to develop and sell before you
I
get the money.
understand, but
I
at the
know.
same time, we have leverage as long as we're negotiating
Right.
reimbursement agreements with them.
It always takes a long time, like the streets out in the preserve, You gotta get that development in there to get them done, so.
Would be nice to see it done.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stubby. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Council? I'd entertain a motion. Oh, I don't know if it works. Nope. Oh. City Clerk, would you do a roll call, please? Failed.
Motion and second, Mayor?
Oh, I'll be the second. Do we have who moved it? I didn't see it. Oh, Councilman Howie moved, I second.
All right. Councilmember Howie?
Yes.
Mayor Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Uloa?
Passes 3-0 with 2 absent. Thank you. Item 12, award of contract, tree trimming / maintenance operations. Our staff report is by our Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Allaire. Mr. Allaire.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Now, the City of Chino has over 20,000 street trees, which we are in charge of maintaining. For the past 3 years, CLS Landscape Management has been performing the tree trimming maintenance for the city at a cost of $36.50 per tree, and we average about 7,000 trees per year. Last year, CLS informed us in writing that they are getting out of the tree trimming business and did not want to renew their contract. So when we came to this fiscal year, towards the end of last fiscal year, we released an RFP, or request for proposals, And on June 30th, we had 5 contractors attend a mandatory pre-proposal meeting so they can get information from the city, learn a little bit more, have the opportunity to ask questions on what the expectations were from the city on this contract. Then on July 12th, we received 3 proposals. Staff evaluated and ranked these proposals. Trimming Land Company of Southgate, California received the highest ranking, and they also submitted the lowest cost proposal of $51 per tree. I would also like to add that on July 20th, the city received a formal protest from the Laborers Pacific Southwest Regional Organizing Coalition stating that they had that the apparent low bidder they determined to be non-responsive due to lack of performance on public works projects. Because this coalition did not submit a proposal or a bid, and the tree trimming services, for these tree trimming services, our city attorney determined that the bid protest would need to come from a bidder that actually bid on the project, not another agency or reformer, or the coalition in this case. And because of this formality there, this bid protest was denied. Again, it wasn't a bid that we went out with, it was a request for a proposal, so it was a procedural thing. Additionally, one of the firms, after we dealt with that, West Coast Arborist, communicated with staff and regarding TLC's past performance. Staff evaluated the additional information provided to us and confirmed that another agency experienced issues with TLC performance in the field. But with that, I'd just like to conclude that TLC was our tree trimming contractor from 2003 to 2008. And throughout that period, they performed to city expectations and standards. They did just a fine job for us. I also want to compliment staff too, but you guys know we have Bob Botus on our team. He's our Assistant Public Works Services Manager. There's not a tree he's not after, trust me. But Bob will be providing strong oversight on this contract, and any issues come up,
I feel sorry
Bob.
for the contractor. You sure you only want $50 a tree?
That's a good warning from the mayor. But, you know, Bob, he's a no-nonsense guy, and he manages his contracts tight, and he will do a good job, and he will take appropriate action, whatever that action may be. And finally, you know, and this helps Bob as well, but the way our contracts are structured, they can be terminated at any time. So we don't have to go the whole year. We can, you know, if we have issues and they can't be resolved, we terminate the contract, we go right back out to bid. Now, this contract is for a 3-year period. We can lock in the price of $51 per tree for the 3-year period. The first period is 1 year with 2 1-year renewals. And I needed to make sure I clarified that because I said it incorrectly first. So each year, when we go to roll over into the next fiscal year, council, this contract will be presented to council for your consideration. And so those are some of the safety triggers that are built into our contracts. So with that, it's staff's recommendation that we approve this contract with TLC. That concludes my report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Laird. Prior to council comments or questions, anybody in the audience wishing to address the council on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilman Howie?
Yeah, Jose, I'm surprised that, you know, we got the trees trimmed at $36 a tree and it went to 53. That's like a 40% increase. Although I can't get my trees
Trees
down.
grow, see, so.
I can't get my tree, yeah, I guess the trees got a lot bigger.
They're bigger.
It just seemed like, you know, it seemed like a lot for an increase per tree. But of course, I can't get my trees done for $53, so I guess I shouldn't be thinking about that. But, so, huh? 51 or 53? 51. Oh, still $15 more a tree. That's still probably 40% increase. But the other 2 bids were in the 60s. So I guess that's about the best we can do, because that is $122,000 more for tree trimming. That's a big chunk of money for trimming trees. But okay, yeah. So I guess
we trim a lot of trees.
Yeah, we have 20,000 trees. That's a lot of trees.
On an average year, there are about 7,000 trees of our 20,000. Bob's goal this next year is 8,000.
Of course.
And yeah, of course. And but they're in need, you know. And it all depends on the species of the tree and all.
Right.
Yeah,
The prices have gone up. There's,
Yep,
you know,
there's no
labor
question about
cost,
that.
fuel cost,
Right.
so they've gone up.
All right, that's all I got.
We have a motion? Don't try this. Is somebody get? Okay, I move it. Eunice seconds it. City Clerk, take the roll, please.
Mayor Yates,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ulloa, Councilmember Howie,
Yes.
Passes 3-0 with 2 absent. Now, next is mayor and council reports. As we enter the month of August, I would like to remind everyone to come out to the summer's last 2 Chino Kiwanis concert on the lawns. And the Chino Summer Nights, that's the movies. First on Thursday, August 4th and 11th, beginning at 7 p.m. Make sure you come out for a performance by Latin R&B group Soto, August 4th, and Queen Tribute Band, the Queen National, August 11th. Both events will have great food and great food, vendors, and with proceeds contributing to the community. Also, the following days, Friday, August 5th and 12th, come out to the last 2 Chino Summer Nights with presentations of Monster University, August 5th, and The Good Dinosaur, August 12th. Oh, The Good Dinosaur, I
Good.
can see that. I
Yeah,
like that.
as opposed to the bad dinosaur.
Okay.
Okay. They have food and retail people there, so come on out and enjoy that nice, cool summer evening. And sadly, I don't know what's going on, we're adjourning tonight's meeting in the memory of 2 longtime loved Chino residents. It seems like they're just, I mean, we've had
been
a
a bad
slew.
summer.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sleeping with one eye open. But,
Good idea.
First, our longtime Chino Kiwanian, Chief Police Volunteer and resident Bill Sitton passed away at the age of 85 on July 20th. Born in Ohio on February 15, 1931, Bill grew up in Virginia before enlisting in the Air Force in 1950, where he served overseas during the Korean, it says here, Korean Water. I think they meant Korean War.
Good timing.
After being discharged in 1953, Bill earned a college degree from Virginia Tech and slowly moved out west. Eventually moving to Chino in 1979, during his time in Chino, Bill committed himself to serving the community. As a member of the Chino Kiwanians, he served as president from 1991 to 92 and oversaw the display of flags that you would see up and down Central Avenue during patriotic holidays. In particular, Bill made certain that the flags remained displayed through 2003 as U.S. soldiers and Marines fought in Iraq. He served many years in the Chino Police Community Support Team and assisted the Chino Police Department in any way deemed necessary. In 2003, he was named Chino Valley's Outstanding Citizen, and in 2004, he was named Layman of the Year. Bill is survived by his wife, Jill, and many other family members. He will be missed for his selfless nature and his commitment to service. You saw Bill everywhere in this town, and always at every event.
Great guy.
He was a great guy. And lastly, we'll be adjourning the memory of Tom Conley, who passed away last week at the age of 73. Born in 1943, Tom lived in Chino his entire life and built a very well-respected reputation in the agricultural industry for his skill in developing greenhouses. His relentless work ethic, combined with his exceptional skills, allowed him to propel his family business, which was started by his father in 1946, into the forefront of the agricultural industry. His workmanship capabilities carried over to his love, and this was his real love, was the hot rods and building classic cars, as he was able to begin a hot rod shop where he won many awards due to his exceptional mechanical skills. Even after building a very successful greenhouse manufacturing business and fulfilling a lifetime hobby of building classic cars, Tom always remained humble and generous with many family members and friends that loved him dearly. He is survived by his fiancée, Donna, brother David, daughter Ardis, sons Dan and Josh, and 9 grandchildren. And he will be deeply missed. He was quite a contributor to our community. So we will be adjourning in both those gentlemen's names. Mayor Pro Tem Ulloa?
Mayor Yates, it has been kind of a rough month. We've lost 3 very special people, 2 that Dennis just talked about. I attended Bill Sitton's celebration of life that was held on the 29th. And it's always heartwarming to hear the stories about people that you thought you knew really well, but you find out even more about them. He was a really strong patriot, but he was also a very, very true friend to people and a handyman. And the stories that were told at the celebration of life about how Bill would just kind of appear at people's houses and say, you need a flag, or you need a flagpole, or your gate isn't working right, and then he'd go buy the stuff and fix it. One officer was talking about the time that Bill came over and told him he needed to get his gate fixed, so he went down to the Home Depot and bought the parts and fixed the gate, and then Bill looked over and the neighbor's gate needed to be fixed. They went back to Home Depot, bought the stuff, and fixed the neighbor's gate. So when the neighbor got home that night, his gate was fixed. What a surprise. But yeah, he was such a nice man, very, very dedicated to the United States and a really, really good patriot. And then today was Tom Conley's celebration of life. Tom was a character, and his life, his laugh was so well known. And it was said at the celebration that he just never had a bad word to say about anybody. He was always positive about things, loved his hot rods. In fact, the building that he built, he had so many restored and in-work cars that he actually had lifts, and they were like double stacked. Incredible, absolutely a phenomenal man. I first met him when I was about 15 or 16. And he actually...
That was a long time ago.
Wow.
Honey, he worked on motorcycles and built exhaust pipes for dirt bikes, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you have to remember that was in the horse and buggy days. So it was
Yeah.
very rare to be
He's
working
getting
on...
deeper into the hole there.
Yeah.
That's okay. But he was such a nice guy, and Donna was just the light of his life, and so he's really going to be missed, really going to be missed. Very, very talented man, really cared about people. And then, of course, Eileen Schultz, her celebration of life is this Saturday, and she was a really special lady. So we've lost 3 really good people from this community, and I just pray that it stops. I mean, everybody
It won't
please
stop.
stay healthy, stay safe, and just remember, none of us have more than today guaranteed. So love those around you and forgive. Don't hang on to those grudges, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. That's all I have.
If tomorrow comes. Councilman Howie.
Eunice, you've known Tom since the 60s?
Yeah.
Wow.
His uncle, which is Sandra's dad.
Yeah.
Okay. When I first met Tom, Dean was there.
Right.
And later on in life, I worked with Dean's wife at General Dynamics. But I was very shy back then, okay?
You were shy?
Yeah, I really was. I was, honest. And I was dating my first husband at the time, and we were there, and Dean came down, and he looked at me and he goes, "You're just as cute as a button. I'm going to take you home." I about died, just about died. And later when I met Darlene, she goes, "Oh, you're the little cute girl that my husband wanted to bring home."
Oh, boy.
I thought, oh, my Lord. So I never lived that one down. But the Conleys were they're a fantastic family. Really.
Well, I remember their hardware store. I used to go in there all the time.
Right.
On mission.
Right.
Conley Hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I heard that he had over 30 hot rods. So that's a
Probably,
lot of
yeah.
cars.
The whole building is
Yeah.
full.
Full.
Yeah.
It's
Pretty
incredible.
cool, yeah. Anyway, okay. So I attended both of those same events, so I won't go into that. Also attended a Chino DeSalter Authority Finance meeting. And then last weekend, your Rupa Community Services District, you can't say that 10 times fast. They had their 60th anniversary, and I had attended that, and they've grown quite a bit in Eastvale and all the things that they do. And it was very interesting, and the new the plant that they have is right there. The $46 million concentrate plant, which will be coming on board here in about a month. So that's pretty exciting. And then tonight, I did get the 2 national night outs meetings just before the council meeting. So I did get to, and they were well attended. Police department was out there, very nice. The neighbors were all happy. They were barbecuing. Everybody was having a good time. So I think those are really outstanding events for not and I thought it was great because the police department can interact on a very positive note with the community, but also, Chief Comstock, I didn't really realize, that was a great point you made, the neighbors really get together, and that's just as important, that the neighbors get together and talk, and you know how easy it is. You can live years and never talk to your neighbor,
We
you
need to
know.
bring back front porches,
Front porches, yeah, yeah.
because
yeah.
people used to get together.
They could see what was going on in the neighborhood when looking out.
They don't
and
give
read-
up that much easement.
yeah. And then, last but not least, it's my wife's birthday, Karen, in a couple of days, so I want to wish her a happy birthday, because she always says I always forget. Never mind. Anyway, happy birthday to Karen, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. City manager, anything to report?
Yes, I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday is the Relay for Life, which is a big fundraiser for Cure for Cancer. So that'll take place at Ayala Park, and opening ceremonies begins at 9 a.m. So we welcome the community to come join us, and it'll go through Sunday. So that's it.
Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Caceres.
I have no report this
Alrighty. Chief of Police, Karen?
No report, Mayor.
And Fire Chief? No report. Okay, thank you for all being here. We'll stand adjourned. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, August 16th at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. if closed session is necessary. I want you all to drive safe and have a great evening.